The Galactic Council had always dismissed humans as crude. Their technology was primitive, their weapons simple, and their ships barely functional by galactic standards. While other species had mastered elegant energy manipulation and quantum engineering, humans still relied on what the Council called brute force mechanics. Captain HFY of the Valorian Empire commanded one of the most advanced fleets in the galaxy. His ships gleamed with crystalline hulls that could phase through dimensions, powered by cores that harvested energy from dying stars. The fleet consisted of 12 vessels, each carrying 1,000 of the galaxy's finest warriors and scholars. The mission had started as routine exploration of the Outer Rim territories. The Valorians were mapping new hyperspace routes when their navigation systems malfunctioned near an unremarkable star system. What should have been a simple jump home became a nightmare when their quantum drives overloaded simultaneously across all ships. Status report, HFY commanded from his floating command throne. Sir, the quantum cores are destabilizing. We've lost all connection to the hyperspace network. His chief engineer reported, her crystalline features flickering with worry. We're stranded in this primitive system. The system contained 9 planets orbiting a yellow star. According to their databases, the third planet harbored a young species called humans who had barely achieved basic space travel. The Council had classified them as developing primitives, not worth contact for another 1,000 years. HFY studied the tactical display showing their predicament. 12 advanced warships, each capable of glassing planets, now drifted helplessly in space. Their elegant technology had failed them completely. The quantum drives that made them superior to all other species had become their weakness. How long until we can repair the drives? He asked. Without access to our shipyards and quantum foundries, potentially decades, sir. These systems require specialized facilities that don't exist in primitive space. The captain's pride stung. His fleet represented the pinnacle of galactic civilization. Yet they were now reduced to calling for help from species they considered inferior. But protocol demanded they try all options before considering more drastic measures. Send a general distress signal on all frequencies. Someone in this galaxy must hear us? Days passed with no response from any advanced civilization. The signals couldn't penetrate far enough without their quantum amplifiers. Worse, their life support systems began showing strain. The ships weren't designed for extended operation without regular maintenance at proper facilities. That's when the primitive signals started appearing on their sensors. Sir, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the third planet. The humans appear to be responding to our distress call. HFY's 4 eyes narrowed. Impossible. Their technology can't even detect our ships properly, let alone understand our distress signals. The signals are crude, but they're definitely responding to our presence. They seem to be trying to communicate. The captain felt a mixture of desperation and disgust. The mighty Valorian Empire, reduced to accepting help from creatures who still used chemical rockets and metal projectiles. But his duty was to his crew, and their supplies were running dangerously low. What exactly are they transmitting? Basic mathematical sequences, star charts of their local system, and what appears to be an invitation to approach their planet. The bridge crew exchanged glances. In all their centuries of galactic exploration, they had never encountered a species willing to welcome obviously superior aliens. Most primitives either fled in terror or attacked out of fear. They're not afraid of us? HFY asked, genuinely puzzled. Sir, they appear to be curious. Their transmissions include detailed information about their industrial capabilities, their resource extraction methods, and something they call emergency protocols for stranded vessels. The captain was quiet for a long moment. His advanced sensors showed that the human civilization was indeed primitive. They used fusion for power, steel for construction, and chemical propulsion for space travel. Yet something about their response intrigued him. Analysis of their industrial capacity? Extensive, sir. Crude but remarkably robust. They appear to have manufacturing facilities across their entire planet, with redundant systems and what they call rapid response capabilities. What does that mean? Unknown, sir. But they've managed to detect our presence with their primitive sensors and responded within hours. That suggests a level of efficiency we didn't expect. Zexai made his decision. Pride wouldn't keep his crew alive, and the humans seemed friendly enough. Perhaps they could provide basic supplies while his engineers worked on repairs. Set course for the third planet. Maintain defensive positions but don't target their installations. And prepare a diplomatic team. Sir, should we follow standard first contact protocols for primitive species? The captain almost laughed. Standard protocols assumed they were the ones in position of strength, offering gifts and guidance to grateful primitives. Now they were approaching as supplicants, hoping for help from beings they had always dismissed as crude. No, this time, we ask for their help. As the Valorian fleet limped toward Earth, none of them realized they were about to discover why humans had survived and thrived on a planet that had tried to kill them for millions of years. They were about to learn that sometimes crude and simple was exactly what you needed when elegant and advanced failed completely. The first surprise came when human ships launched to meet them, not to attack, but to escort them safely to orbit around their planet. Admiral Sarah Chun received the alert while reviewing supply reports at Luna Station. An alien fleet had appeared in the outer system, broadcasting what appeared to be a distress signal. Within minutes, every major government on Earth was on. Emergency channels and the Global Defense Network was at high alert. Ma'am, we've analyzed their transmissions. These aren't invasion forces, reported Commander Torres from the communication center. They're asking for help. Sarah studied the tactical display showing 12 massive alien ships. Each vessel was easily 10 times larger than Earth's biggest warships, with technology that made their sensors strain to get clear readings. Yet something about their formation suggested desperation rather than aggression. How do you know they need help? She asked. Their energy signatures are erratic. Multiple system failures across their entire fleet. Plus, they've been trying to communicate using basic mathematics and star charts, the kind of thing you'd use if you were lost and needed assistance. And they're not hostile? They've made no threatening moves, and their weapons aren't charged. Actually, ma'am, they seem to be maintaining a respectful distance while waiting for our response. Sarah had spent 30 years in the global space force, working her way up from a maintenance tech on Mars colonies to commanding humanity's space defense network. She dealt with pirates, asteroid miners, and corporate disputes, but never alien contact. Still, her instincts told her these beings were genuinely in trouble. What's the status of our rapid response fleet? All 12 ships ready for deployment. The Salvation, Endeavor, and New Horizon are loaded with emergency supplies and engineering teams. Launch them. Full diplomatic protocols, but keep weapons ready. And get me Dr. Yamamoto from the Xenobiology department. The human fleet that approached the aliens was smaller and simpler than the Valorian ships, but they moved with purpose and efficiency. Each vessel carried redundant systems, multiple backup plans, and crews trained for any emergency imaginable. When Captain Zexai saw the human ships approaching, he was struck by their design philosophy, where Valorian ships were elegant curves, and crystal formations, human vessels were blocky, functional, and covered with external equipment. They looked like flying toolboxes rather than warships. They're hailing us, sir, his communications officer reported. Put them through. The screen flickered to life, showing a human female in a simple uniform. She spoke slowly and clearly, using basic galactic standard that any spacefaring species should understand. Greetings, unknown vessels. I am Admiral Chun of the Human Defense Force. We received your distress signal and are here to offer assistance. What is the nature of your emergency? Zexai was surprised by her directness. No elaborate ceremonies or displays of power, just a simple offer to help. He decided to be equally direct. Admiral Chun, I am Captain Zexai of the Valorian Empire. Our quantum drives have failed, and we are stranded in your system. We require assistance with repairs and supplies. Understood, Captain. We're transmitting our emergency assistance protocols. Our engineering teams are prepared to board your vessels if you'll permit it. You have engineers capable of understanding our technology? There was a pause, and Zexai thought he saw something like amusement in the human's expression. Captain, we've been fixing broken things in dangerous places for thousands of years. Our engineers specialize in making repairs with whatever tools and materials are available. If you'll allow us to examine your ships, we'll find a way to help. Within hours, human engineering teams were aboard Valorian vessels, and Zexai was amazed by what he saw. The humans didn't try to understand the elegant quantum systems. Instead, they focused on basic mechanical components that had been overlooked by Valorian engineers. Your problem isn't the quantum drives themselves, explained Chief Engineer Martinez, a weathered human who seemed completely unimpressed by alien technology. It's your power coupling systems. They're too refined, too precise. When your quantum fields destabilized, they couldn't handle the fluctuations. But those couplings are designed by the finest engineers in the galaxy, protested Zexai's chief engineer. I'm sure they are, but they're designed for perfect conditions. Out here in space, nothing's perfect. Martinez pulled out a simple toolkit and began working on the coupling. We need to install bypass systems, crude ones that can handle power surges and field fluctuations. Bypass systems? That would reduce efficiency by 30%. Better than 0% efficiency when you're stranded, Martinez replied, installing what looked like a primitive mechanical switch. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most elegant one. As human teams worked throughout the fleet, Zexai began to understand something important. Every human system had backups, and their backups had backups. Their technology wasn't advanced, but it was incredibly robust. Why do you build everything with so many redundancies? He asked Admiral Chun during a meal aboard her flagship. Because things break, she replied simply. On Earth, we deal with hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and solar storms. We learned early that if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. So we plan for failure. But surely advanced civilizations don't face such problems? Chun looked at him thoughtfully. Captain, what happens when your perfect technology encounters something it wasn't designed for? The question bothered Zexai because he knew the answer. Perfect technology was brittle. It worked flawlessly until it didn't work at all. Over the following weeks, humans not only repaired the Valorian ships, but improved them. They installed crude but effective backup systems, redundant power supplies, and what they called emergency protocols for every critical system. Your ships are no longer as efficient, Chief Engineer Martinez explained, but they're much more reliable. These modifications will get you home and keep you flying even when your elegant systems fail. The humans asked for nothing in return except the chance to learn about galactic civilization. They were genuinely excited about the possibility of joining a larger community of spacefaring species. As the Valorian fleet prepared to depart, Zexai realized that his people's dismissal of humans as crude had been a serious mistake. The galaxy was full of elegant solutions that failed when faced with unexpected problems. But humans had spent millennia solving problems with whatever tools they had available. Admiral Chun, he said during their final meeting, I believe my people have much to learn from yours. And we have much to learn from you, Captain. Perhaps this is the beginning of a beneficial relationship. As the Valorian ships activated their repaired drives, Zexai knew he would have to report this encounter to the Galactic Council. The humans weren't just crude primitives. They were survivors who had turned limitation into strength. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within days of Captain Zexai's return. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the massive chamber, their forms ranging from crystalline entities to energy beings housed in containment suits. The topic that had brought them together was unprecedented. A primitive species had successfully rendered aid to one of the most advanced fleets in the galaxy, Chancellor. Vorthak of the Council Presidium activated his translation matrix, ensuring his words would reach every delegate. Captain Zexai, please describe the events that transpired in the Sol system. Zexai stood before the assembled representatives, knowing his report would change how they viewed the humans forever. Honored delegates, I must begin with a confession. Our classification of humanity as crude primitives was not merely incorrect, it was dangerously misguided. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia were not accustomed to admitting errors, especially regarding primitives. "Explain," Chancellor Vorthak commanded. "When our quantum drives failed, we were completely helpless. Our elegant technology became useless metal and crystal. But the humans, using what we considered primitive methods, not only repaired our ships, but made them more reliable than before." Counselor Thexra of the Crystalline Syndicate interjected, "Impossible. Their technology is barely sufficient for basic space travel." "That's exactly what I believed," Zexhai replied. "But I learned that advanced doesn't always mean superior. Human engineers approached our problems differently. Where we saw complex quantum systems requiring specialized facilities, they saw basic mechanical problems with simple solutions." He activated a holographic display showing before and after images of Valorian ships. They installed what they called redundant systems, backup power supplies, manual overrides, emergency protocols. These additions reduced our ships' efficiency but increased their reliability dramatically. The delegates studied the images with growing concern. The elegant curves of Valorian vessels were now interrupted by bulky human additions, mechanical systems that looked crude compared to the original design. "You allowed primitives to modify advanced Valorian technology?" Counselor Thexra's crystalline form flickered with indignation. "I allowed survival experts to solve problems our advanced engineers couldn't handle," Zexhai corrected. "And that's not the most disturbing part of this report." The chamber fell silent. The humans documented everything they did. They studied our technology, learned our methods, and improved upon them. Within weeks, they were manufacturing compatible components using their own industrial base. They reverse-engineered quantum coupling systems using basic metallurgy and mechanical engineering. Chancellor Vorthak leaned forward. "Are you suggesting they acquired advanced technology through this contact?" "I'm stating they acquired understanding. The humans didn't just copy our designs, they comprehended the underlying principles and found simpler ways to achieve the same results. What we accomplish with quantum manipulation, they can approximate with mechanical precision." Delegate Crixenol from the Hive Collective voiced what many were thinking. "This constitutes a severe contamination of primitive development. The species must be contained before they spread beyond their system." "Containment would be difficult," Zexhai admitted. "Their industrial capacity is enormous. In the time we were there, they launched 17 construction projects to build human-compatible starships. They call it scaling up production, rapidly increasing their capabilities to meet new challenges." The captain paused, choosing his next words carefully. "Delegates, I must warn you about something else. The humans asked only one thing in return for their assistance: membership in galactic civilization. They want to join us as equals, not as primitives seeking guidance." The chamber erupted in protests and arguments. Species that had spent millennia establishing their superiority over younger civilizations could not accept primitives demanding equal status. Chancellor Vorthak restored order. "The obvious solution is to deny them membership and establish a quarantine around their system." "That would be a mistake," Zexhai said firmly. "The humans have already demonstrated they can solve problems we cannot. Their crude methods work when our elegant solutions fail. More importantly, they've proven they can rapidly adapt and improve any technology they encounter." Counselor Thexra's form brightened with anger. "You suggest we admit ship mechanics to a council that includes species who harness the power of stars?" "I suggest we admit the species that saved my fleet when star harvesters couldn't help us," Zexhai replied. "Our technology is powerful but fragile. Human technology is simple but unbreakable. They've turned limitation into strength, and we desperately need that perspective." The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was predetermined. The council voted overwhelmingly to classify humanity as a restricted species and establish a quarantine around their system. Only Zexhai's people abstained from the vote. As delegates filed out of the chamber, Chancellor Vorthak approached the Valorian captain. You seem troubled by our decision. I am, Chancellor. We're making the same mistake we always make, assuming advanced means superior. The humans didn't just repair our ships. They taught us that different approaches have value. By quarantining them, we're ensuring we'll never benefit from that knowledge again. And ensuring they never threaten our established order, Vorthak replied, 3 months later. Long-range sensors detected massive energy signatures from the Sol system. The humans had built a fleet of starships incorporating both their mechanical reliability and adapted alien technology. They weren't trying to break quarantine. They were exploring in the opposite direction, toward unexplored regions of space. Within a year, human expeditionary forces had established colonies in 3 star systems beyond Council space. Their ships, built with redundant systems and manual overrides, operated successfully in regions where Council vessels regularly failed due to environmental hazards. Captain Zexai received regular reports about human expansion and success. While the Council continued to dismiss them as crude primitives, humanity was proving that sometimes the best solution wasn't the most elegant one. They were building a civilization based on reliability rather than sophistication, adaptation rather than perfection. The galaxy would soon learn that when elegant technology met harsh reality, crude and dependable usually won. And humanity, the species once thought too primitive to matter, was about to show the galaxy what survival really meant. The Galactic Council had made their choice. Soon they would discover that evolution didn't care about elegance, it only rewarded what worked.